our idea of like theater and stuff is not what a lot of people are used to. And a lot of people, I don't know, guys, come from where like theater is something that's so stressful for people. Like they love it so much, but like you put yourself through abuse because you love it so much. And we're like, what if we had
Didn't
fun?
do that.
The lights are on, the curtain's up. This is Steps to the Stage.
Folks at home, do you have a business, small or otherwise, that isn't pulling in traffic the way you want it to? Well, it might be because they don't have something to remember you by. And that's why today we are sponsored by Graphic Details Inc., signs and displays. They will print out your banners, they'll cut vinyl, they'll do window graphics for the company cars. We're talking business cards, banner stands, LCD displays, tabletop displays, logos, all in full living color. Again, that is Graphic Details Inc. here in Chino, California. Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome to Steps to the Stage, the 7th Street Theater podcast where we talk to the community theater professionals you know and love. Today, on a very spooky episode of the show, we have our friends Allison and Marlee directing Carrie.
Hey.
Welcome back, both of you.
Good to be
Hello.
back.
Of course, it's great to have you back. It always is. Would you mind, both of you, sort of talking about, for those of you who don't know what the show is, would you mind talking about sort of the basic sort of structure of the plot of Carrie and sort of what drew you to the show, each of you?
Sure. Of course. I mean, obviously, I think most people think of the Brian De Palma film from, I don't know the year, late 70s. So, you know, we have, and also the Stephen King novel that has been adapted into a musical. There's so much to delve into that. But anyway, basic plot, basically, girl, Carrie White, we're in Maine. She's got trauma. She's a little weird. High school students, you know them, big bullies.
Big bullies, big
Especially
crazy
in the 70s,
bullies.
yeah.
Big bullies. And basically, everybody, if you're mean, your town burns down and you all die.
Yep. And then you go home and you see your mom there who is also not great.
Yes.
And then you're like, hey, we're also gonna die.
So basically, don't pour blood on people. Don't be mean.
Don't go to prom.
Don't go to
Don't
prom.
go to
Don't go to
prom.
prom.
Don't
Don't go to
senior
prom.
We didn't go to prom, and look at us.
Don't go to your senior prom.
Because if you don't go to prom, then you'll be the one that
Survive.
lives and
that got away.
survives to tell
Yeah,
the tale.
Exactly.
fine.
So basically, was that a basic plot structure? No.
No.
It was a little, loosey-goosey, but
girl weird. Girl goes school not like
weird,
girl.
yeah,
Pig
as well.
blood.
They
blood,
make
pig
trick.
blood.
They make trick pig blood. Girl says, kill everyone.
Yeah, girl says, "Ugh."
Then girl outside go, oh no, and follow her home, and then see kill mom.
And if
now
you-
mom dead,
if
girl
you don't
dead.
know, if that's a spoiler for you, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, hello.
You not seen? Do you not know?
If you're uncultured swine, there's nothing I can do about it.
That's fine. I get it because of the.
Oh, got him. Pig's blood.
You're
You're not uncultured swine if you haven't seen it. Just go see it.
Let's just go see it. It's a great show.
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic.
The musical's a little bit different.
Yeah,
too.
I was about to ask about that. So,
Yeah.
of course, this is based on a book.
Yeah.
More originally, but of course, there is you said the movie by Brian De Palma. Does this adaptation, just first of all, does it take more from the book or from the film?
I would say more the book, but also like it was a musical in the 80s. It's
Yeah.
Broadway's biggest flop. It was on
Yes.
Broadway for 3 days.
3 days.
And so this version that we're doing is also the revival of
like
that
restructured.
musical.
Okay.
2012.
And it's
Oh.
based in the early 2000s, but we changed it to be in the 70s to
okay.
suit the book. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Would you mind delving a little bit more into some of the differences
Sure.
between
the book and this version?
also just more, it's more like the book in that Sue is more centered as like the storyteller.
Okay.
And that also changed from the 2012 production. So now she's kind of our narrator almost,
Sort of
or
audience
like
surrogate more.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
like our guiding light through everything.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest like
Okay.
thing from that. So we kind of get a flat. We're going like back and forth in time a little bit.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
And not like super specifically. We're not getting. Technically, the whole show is like a flashback.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's sort
so
of like
that's more like the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's in the interrogation
Yeah, like police
room.
interview style,
Yes,
right?
and it's supposed to be like we don't ever really see the interrogators.
Okay.
We only see Sue in that room,
Okay.
and then we go back into her memories,
Whoa.
and we're in her version of the story.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's quite complicated because
Yeah.
you've got Sue's version of the story, but then you're telling the story of another girl.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the actors kind of have to think about like, okay, yeah, I'm portraying my character, but I'm also portraying a memory
Yeah, it's
of
an
someone
unreliable
else.
narrator.
Yeah, in ways,
It is,
because
yeah.
you're not really sure like what really happened to Sue, but she's doing her best. Because also it's clear she's been in this interrogation room for a minute, and as the sole survivor, they're kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
over 30 people just died, and we're a little confused how you got out of that.
Yeah, with narrow eyes.
Yeah, so she has that pressure. And then, of course, like, it's also this tale of like, oh, I realized what my part in all of this was, right? So she's really recounting where she messed up. And that's kind of the big plot of it all. That's the message of it, I guess.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we want to talk about sort of Carrie's version of the story
Sure.
a little bit and sort of talk about like her trauma in a way and sort of how that informs her actions and sort of how that sort of creates the events that we see towards the end of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Obviously, got a big old heaping of religious trauma.
I have lines and lines of notes about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of just used as like a vessel of like parent-child dynamic. So it's just kind of it's a really convenient like symbolism for like how there's like a weird with like parents and children about like also like God and you know, human in there. So it's a nice like beautiful little symbolism, and like Margaret White, Carrie's mom, kind of attaches onto from her trauma. So
Yes.
it's like
It's generational.
we're going through like generational trauma, cycles of abuse, and
also you're really getting the female perspective of both of sexual trauma and religious trauma. The not so many, especially back then when you think about it, of like how many women for so long in history don't know about their own bodies and aren't told about things until much later in life, which is really what starts this whole thing of Carrie not knowing what a period is and not knowing that that's going to happen to her, but Margaret hiding that from her because of her own traumas of being sexually abused and being like thinking that that's a punishment from God. And so not telling her daughter about it to in sense protect her, but in reality it didn't protect her
she's
from
just harming her
anything.
even further.
Exactly. And now she's also a pretty late bloomer. So like now in high school, that's girls are already ready, you know, to talk about those things. And so her not even knowing what that is really kind of, it's like the traumas are all interlinked, you know, like everything's crossed over. And in the religious part of it all, like even the bullying, like all these things are pretty heavy and pretty deep, but at the same time, like we're touching on things that a lot of people can relate to, right? And I think the bullying too, like she's a little quirky, she's a little weird, she's different. And instead of back then people kind of bringing those people in and being like, it's cool, we embrace that, people definitely completely and totally ostracize you. Like you do not belong here at all. And that's a different, because then the only place you do belong is the abusive home. So now she's confused because, oh, I can't be at school, but the only place that loves me is the place that hurts me. So it's really like she's messed up, you know?
yeah, and then we get a funneled things about power and like, you know, who has power, like the parent or a child, and what happens when your child has legit powers.
Yeah, legitimate magical powers. What do you do with that?
So that's a fun little thing to go in there.
Yeah.
It's like, and we don't know how she got these powers.
Exactly.
Too. And it's interesting, and it's just fun to be like the what ifs and things made bigger to mean different things. So we're able to see like, obviously this is an extreme reaction to abuse and bullying, but it's like the horror always does it. It's based in truth with like a dose of extremism. And so we're able to see it better, the audience.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to have it based in like religion and power and like, destruction.
Yeah. There's a lot of like cool tropes and stuff in this too that like lean into those. We go more extreme with the tropes. So you can see them better.
Okay.
That's a good way to say it. See them better. Yeah.
Ooh.
I like that, Marlee.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You mentioned sort of at the aspect of her power, we don't really know where it comes from, but her mother certainly seems to think that she does, especially going back to what she thinks is sort of a punishment for her existence. And that comes back in when she reveals sort of the truth of her birth and sort of copulation in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are the love I was betrayed for. One of the
Exactly.
hardest lyrics to hear in Margaret White's song. Like, it's so crazy because it's so it's so codependent in its own sense. You know, yes, she loves her daughter, but her daughter was born out of a really traumatic situation for her. And in order to save Margaret, to save herself from that trauma, she turned to God because that's where she can find purity. And so when she thinks God is punishing through Carrie, it's like, oh, you're the curse. You've always been the curse. The curse of blood now. You're the curse. So there's this, it's like she definitely believes like, oh, my daughter is a witch and now I need to get rid of her, which is where we get to the end where it's like, I got to sacrifice her because it's the only way I'm going to save both of us. And it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's very deep,
Yeah.
hidden under this like musical tone. And then you're like, whoa.
You like, actually listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it's
crazy.
It's crazy. It gets crazy up in there. And the vibe of the show is all over the place on purpose. Like we cover tons of genres of music. We cover tons of different types of characters and traumas and issues and people. And then you throw it all together and it's just about this girl who is people are being mean. Like,
Who's
you know.
pushed to a breaking point for no reason.
Exactly. And it's so complicated because it's so simple. That's why it's complicated. You're looking at it going, well, we could just stop that. Why did this have to happen? And that's kind of the whole message of the story, right?
Yeah, it's like, what can humans make true? Like, like is Margaret or everyone's like feelings or the idea of obviously we can't make someone have telekinesis, but like if someone believes something so strongly that like it is a curse and like she's terrible, it almost like manifests into something real. Or we like have so many feelings about Carrie, it manifests into something. So it's just interesting with like, what if humans had the power with our thoughts and feelings to make something true? Like if someone believes Carrie's a monster or like from the devil or whatever, then like, did Margaret make it true? Or did Carrie make it true herself by thinking that? So like that's
Or maybe it's both.
Oh, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Sort of that, you want me to be the bad guy.
Yeah. And it's
Fine,
just,
I'll be the bad guy.
And was she ever really scary or was she just different? And
Exactly.
then now you've made her the monster that she is. And you
Your
know,
own
that's
actions.
the teenager of it all of like, because we've all been teenagers. We were either on the outside or we were on the inside. Especially like me, I grew up a little bit older than all of you. The early 2000s were wild. And so it's kind of crazy because the year I graduated the show is the year graduated high school is the year the revival set in. So there's like things when I watch that I'm like, ugh, like it feels so real. But like, yeah, the high school of it all, the like, there really is hierarchies in American high schools.
Oh, yes.
You know, and like, it's just a crazy dynamic that you have to shift through. And like, it's even harder to portray it on stage because it has to be so dramatic for it to land. And then when you watch it, you're like, but it feels real. Like popular girls ostracizing someone, but also there's always that one nice popular girl that will talk to you in English class. And you're like, why don't you talk to me at lunch? Or why don't you say hi to me in the halls? And it's like, that's kind of what Sue is giving in a sense of like, she's starting to realize like, oh, I'm actually not this person I'm portraying myself to be. And she's kind of the example of the changing, but then it's too late at that
she doesn't
point.
go away.
It's too late. So yeah.
That is the one thing that I think kind of shocked me the first time I watched the movie and sort of engaged with the story was that Sue and Tommy were actually trying to do something nice. And yet, Carrie has every right to be apprehensive about this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think Tommy too is such an interesting character. You know, he really is the sweetheart of the show.
as we say, the Troy Bolton blueprint.
Yeah, he is. Troy Bolton. It's like if Tommy Ross and Danny Zuko had a baby, you have Troy Bolton.
Poems.
Yeah. Poetry, words, and our amazing actor Nate, he always is like, when we do stuff, he's always like, Tommy, run. Tommy, like poet, you know? And it's like, that's so real because in a sense, he is kind of like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then that's it, you know? But he has this sweetheartness that there's an innocence to him that Carrie sees in him. And that's why she can trust him a little bit more than the girls, I think. But it's, you know.
And that's why I always love, like, sometimes people get so defensive about, like, oh, like in Romeo and Juliet, like, they didn't have to take the potions. Like, they didn't have to, you know, like, go through this whole thing to, like, pretend you're dead or whatever. But, like, what makes it a tragedy is that it is preventable.
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. What makes it a tragedy? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
If you need high-quality headshots or other professional photo work done, visit Xochi Neri Photography at fb.me/xneri photos. So moving on from sort of the plot and details of the show into the actual production of it, again, both of you are directors. Would you mind sort of talking about, you've mentioned, of course, Nate, wonderful Nate in your cast. Would you mention talking about some of the other people in the cast and what the casting process was like for both of you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the casting process was fun.
Yeah. It was really fun. It was cool because, we didn't know what kind of crowd this show was going to bring out. We haven't really done anything like this in a long time, I would say. It's a horror musical we haven't really done. And then, I was seeing that Carrie's kind of been buzzing around on social media and stuff the last year, and kind of grabbing attention. And so it was like, okay, are we going to get new people? Are we going to have some veterans come back? Like, what's going to be? And we got a really good mix of both. And it was actually a really crazy process. It's always you never know what's going to walk into your room. And for us, we always do like a monologue and a song. So we got to see them act a little bit before, bring them to callbacks, do the whole thing. But it was more like which people are going to work with what. I mean, our callbacks lasted a while. We had this show is vocally insane because you cover so many genres. You have that opera style-esque musical theater, and then you have this like really like rugged, weird, like sound for Carrie. Like it just kind of covers so many different vibes. And then there's like the 80s ballad that they kept from the original and just like threw it in there, and you're like, this is so 80s, it's crazy. But it's perfect. And so we really kind of had to be very tedious about the vocal parts of it all. But in the end, we ended up with a really solid cast. And I think we almost casted pretty much everyone who auditioned.
Oh, no. Wow.
We had a low boy count coming in, but you know what? It didn't even matter. The boys that we have are so strong. And, we have female actors playing male characters, and then they're really stepping up to the plate in the sense of like giving it all they've got. And they're just a really great cast together. They're very different. We have a new, our lead is Erin, and she goes by Ronnie in our cast, but she is a star and she's amazing. And it was really great to see someone we've never seen before have the confidence to come out and be like, boom,
Yeah.
So we
love them.
We do really love them. And then like some people have come in later, and our very own Joey Rice is in the show.
What?
Closing weekend, he stepped in for us for a role, and so Joey will be playing George, which is a really fun little character.
Yes, George.
And so it's been exciting to see them come together as a group.
Absolutely. You mentioned that this show feels very musically challenging. Who is the musical director?
So Luke Shaman, who, if you remember, have listened before to the show, last year we directed Percy Jackson, and Luke played Percy. And he wanted to challenge himself musically because he's going to school for music and things like that. And he was just looking for a role where he could really challenge himself in something. And so he asked us if he could musically direct, and we put our trust in him, and he's been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And then we're choreographing it, both of us.
Yes, okay. Let's talk about choreography and movement in this show.
Yeah. Crazy.
First of all,
Actually,
I love horror and all that stuff, and I think we don't get to see it a lot on the theater stage, and we don't get to see. I mean, I think we say it a lot, like, we're really into acting and movement that's not beautiful. Like, there's a time and place for it, but, like, humans aren't beautiful sometimes.
Yes.
So it's, like, the combination of, like, there's a lot of, like, classic musical theater songs that need, like, musical theater dancing. And then, like, where we can bring movement that, like, with their bodies that's, like, weird and out of being a human, and like bringing the horror genre. So it's like a fun, weird mix of things. There's some really fun choreography that we've like based on like images of art, and based on, it's really like we're trying to be outside. They're not just high school students, but they're also like embodiments of different things going on in the show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely, I'm like, we always talk about with the cast, like, it's a little bit of a challenge because you kind of, as a dancer, have to get out of the like tropiness of being pretty. Like we always say this, like we like ugly to live on stage. Like ugly should be the center of attention there. And like with Carrie, sometimes they're representing her powers. Sometimes they're representing the relationship dynamics that are taking place. That's one of my favorite dances we have of like, there's a Sue and Tommy having a moment and Chris and Billy having a moment. And they're both trying to manipulate their other partner and how they go about that because Chris doesn't do it the same way Sue does. And so the ensemble is representing that. And it's a really cool, like, not that we're force feeding the plot to the audience, but that the ensemble gets to really dive into the emotions of things.
Yeah, more strongly people's bodies doing the storytelling as well as like the lines and like everything going on.
Yeah, and Carrie moves pretty quickly, so the more storytelling we can do, the better.
Okay, this is very exciting. I'm getting very so
I love it.
Yeah. Would you mind talking about the set design for the show?
Sure.
Sure thing. I'm also the set designer for the show.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
So that's
wow.
fun.
You both wear so many hats in this. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So this one's kind of fun because I always like to do things that aren't necessarily like realism. Like this is a high school. So we're kind of taking things from all the different productions that have gone around and all the different ideations of Carrie. So it's kind of, we see a space that could be like after everything's been burnt down and destroyed and maybe like in the middle. So it's not exactly a high school, but not exactly ruins. Whoa, not exactly ruins. And then we have some fun stuff that I won't reveal yet.
Oh, she wants to hide things.
Gosh, okay.
But basically, the set will also be doing a lot of storytelling.
Okay.
Yeah. The set is definitely a character in itself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Were there any specific challenges in set design that you had to sort of overcome, or was it
Yes,
smooth
and we're
sailing?
still about to have to overcome
Okay, yes. 'Cause-
because we have a lot of, obviously, Carrie has telekinesis, so that's fun. Obviously, we have the thing that happens at prom that nobody knows about. That we have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Super big secret. So it's more like engineering problems,
Okay.
mechanics problems that we
Yes.
And like
haven't
logistics.
haven't faced yet. That like it's going to be a lot of trial and error, but I'm excited to figure them out. And we have a lot of we have a lot of people involved in all the different like theater departments. So we have like an art team, a set team, a construction team, a makeup team, a costume team. So we have like a huge group ready to like.
Yeah, I think our
battle
student
it out with
design
us.
team overall is like 13 people split up. Just because like also costume wise, like we've got a lot of blood going on. So we have to have people who are going to be able to take care of that kind of stuff. And then with hair and makeup, you know, there's not like a heavy
all
amount of
involved.
makeup because
It's
we're
very
doing
all
70s,
involved.
but it's very, everyone is going to be hands on
Okay.
every show.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like come and do your job and then head out. Like this show is
have to stick
actively
around.
going to need them to stick around and
Okay.
be doing their work.
Yeah. And who are your costume and makeup designers for posterity's sake?
Yeah.
Sure. For our costume designer is Debbie Horner, which we love, and she's
Yeah.
really eating it up. And as dare I say, I'm a little too much of an iron fist with historical accuracy. So it's
Especially the 70s, her baby girl
I need someone I can trust, and she's just been
nailing it. Like
Yeah.
it's we are so like our costume rack is sitting in the hallway and every time I walk by it I'm like, oh my god, it looks so good.
I have to check that out.
yes, please.
And then our MUA and hairstylist is Melissa Hogan-Rad.
Yes.
And then she has her student team as well that'll be working with them.
Fantastic. So,
And also, I just want to mention that Luke Hogan-Rad is our AD.
Oh, yes.
Our assistant director. And,
Yes.
and he's been doing a really... So it's us and the Lukes.
That's right.
Yeah, our baby boys.
so special effects, you mentioned sort of representing certain things
Yeah.
with the ensemble and with sort of the movement of the body. Are there things that are represented in other ways?
Yeah, we definitely have the whole telekinesis power happening. Also, like using the set pieces to kind of shift into different spaces, obviously, but also like not just like literally, oh, we're in a home, but like you know, there's the whole getting locked in the closet thing, but we're not like creating a closet on stage. You
The
know, like,
feeling more than
right?
anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of have to work with things with like, we don't have a large stage where like we're going to be able to create 2 layers where someone can like walk up and
Yeah.
put the bucket of blood at the top of the, you know, gym. So like we kind of have to create with lights. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on.
Yep.
Lights is going to really be a big part of the storytelling as well. So it's going to be a lot of tricking the audience. We're also really close. Our audiences literally could touch our actors if they're sitting in the front row. So we have had to do a lot of things where it's like we're kind of tricking their brain and also being really real about like, you know what's coming and you know what's happening. So just suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Would you mind talking about the rehearsal process for this show?
Sure.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been because I think our idea of like theater and stuff is not what a lot of people are used to. And a lot of people, I don't know, guys, come from where like theater is something that's so stressful for people. Like they love it so much, but like you put yourself through abuse because you love it so much. And we're like, what if we had
Didn't
fun?
do that.
What if we had fun? And some people are like,
I can't do it.
I don't
And you
trust
can
it.
kind of see them like
Yeah.
having to force themselves to enjoy the process rather than be like, I'll enjoy it when I do the work. And it's like, well, you're never
the
really
enjoyment
going to
is
learn
the
to
work.
enjoy it then.
yeah. So we're just kind of always being like, have fun.
Because my thing is too, like, as someone who's
Quested it
now in her 30s, no, I love my 30s. But what the thing is, you get burnt out if that's your process. If you're constantly going to be coming at art like that, you will burn out. And so our goal is, yes, the show, we want to hold its integrity and we want it to be a good show. We very much love excellence, but we are not going to expose and abuse our people to get there. And so it's really like, honestly, we have fun when we come in. We do crazy warm-ups. They're weird.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, like we did it with Percy too, and that was fun for us because that was our first show directing together. And so we had to learn our process too. And we like to do crazy things because it also gets us out of our head. And so, runways, like weird disco music, everyone just go dance like you're at a club. Like, and that's what it's not like everyone, 17,000 jumping jacks, get focused, get ready, take a minute. It's not like that. But we still appreciate those things. And so the first couple of weeks we are in our 4th week of rehearsals and we just finished music, but that's a lot of music that we got done in a really short amount of time.
Yeah, it's mostly music.
But I like to kind of work that way. That's something that I really took from Kevin Gassio, actually, one of the directors here. But he always did the music first, which most shows do, but music first. That way you can have that solid and then go move into the movement of it all. And so it's been really nice because now we're in the choreography and the staging of things. But, we're a shared space, so it's kind of like, okay, we're going to do all of this, and then it'll probably change once we have our entire set and all the... So it's just been great seeing these kids come to life and, tell a story, but tell it in a way that is fun for them.
Yeah.
And us. We want to have a good time too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, especially when you're working with kids and especially people in high school, as we've talked about, which can be freaking brutal.
Yes.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are creating such a healthy environment.
Yeah, we always tell them, like, a lot of our kids are also doing multiple things.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, they're really good students. They are, some of them are driving from the OC.
Oh my God.
So they take a 2-hour drive to get here. And we know that they're coming out of that 2-hour drive straight into rehearsal. And so it's really important for us that we're, one, making a great environment, but also being like, hey, you're a person. Tell us what you need. Tell us what you need as an actor. Tell us what you need here. And we'll do our best to achieve that. And then we all have, like, we started our rehearsals making a cast contract of like, these are the things we value as a group. These are the things we want to see. These are the things we want to do for each other and for ourselves. And then we are always committed to that throughout this whole process. And that's something that's always really important for us to do. And they've been upholding it pretty well.
Yeah, that's a really smart idea, actually. I really like that.
Yeah, it's like a classround contract.
Yeah.
Because it gives you the power. It's your show. It's your journey. It's your process. So why wouldn't you have a voice in it? Yeah.
Would you mind talking about some of the things on that contract?
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a lot of like how the cast is going to treat each other, how notes are given, like requesting intimacy coordination. I think those are the kind of things that kind of came up at the beginning. And we were like, yes, it's funny because everyone's really like, I don't want to say anything. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, I have so many ideas.
Yeah, and they had so many.
And you're like,
See, you like to say things. Yeah, I think this show covers harsh topics, covers really important, deep things that to not have intimacy coordination would be a disservice. And so luckily, Marlee's pretty heavily trained in that, and I have some training too. And so that's a big part of what they were asking for, and I'm glad that they advocated for themselves of like, yeah, I don't want to be making out with someone I've never talked to.
Yeah, especially in our stage, which is like, there's people right there.
Yeah. You're going to turn your head while you're making out and see somebody.
Yeah. And it's going to be
staring at
your
you.
dad.
Yeah. And he's going to be like,
right?
Oh, yeah,
What on
absolutely. It's like the girl that you're kissing her grandpa. So
Yeah,
at the time, my husband at the time was in the audience, and that's a weird experience because you're like, or you're like, yeah, my dad when I was 13. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to go through. Yeah.
It's wild. Again, you both wear so many hats in this show.
You got to do what you got to do. I love hats. I have a hat collection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us here on the show today. Quick question, when does your show open, and where can people buy tickets for this awesome sounding show?
Of course, it opens October 25th, and I think pretty soon the tickets will be released. So you can Instagram, link in the bio, and on the website.
Yep.
Yeah, but
if you go to our
we're getting
website,
close. The tickets being released.
Yeah, if you go to our website, click that ticket that you see, like a picture of an image, and it'll take you to the tickets on Seat Yourself. But yeah, I would definitely, especially because we have a run through Halloween.
Yes.
I would definitely get your tickets as soon as you can. We run through November 9th. Also, something cool.
Special night.
We have special nights every weekend. So every Friday of every weekend, we have a special night. So opening night is a prom night. So after the show, we'll have prom and a gala here.
That's right.
And then
Photos.
Cool.
the second weekend is Halloween costumes because it's the day after Halloween. And then the third weekend is 70s night. So yeah, special little fun thing.
That is so fun. Oh my God, I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, be sure to check out Carrie October 25th. Perfect for Halloween.
That's right.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Bye.
All right, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Hey. If you need insurance, Vince will work for you. Vince Polito is a local farmer's insurance agent who wants to help you out. Auto, home, renters, and more, open 8 to 5 on all weekdays. Over 35 years experience and licensed in 4 states. Call now. Thanks for listening to Steps to the Stage, and now it's time for the curtain call. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or any podcasting platform. We have videos up on YouTube, and you can visit our website at stepstothestage.buzzsprout.com. And as always, a special thank you to our audio engineer, Joey Rice, and our producer, Kirk Lane. Without the two of you, this show would not be possible.